Good morning, ladies. Welcome back to my channel. You know, I just got back from vacation. And while I was on vacation, I was thinking, what kind of video can I do when I get back? And one morning when I was doing my makeup, I realized I took minimal stuff, and my makeup brush had minimal brushes in there. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to do a video on how to use makeup tools, how to use makeup brushes and sponges, because not everybody knows. I have been doing makeup. I did makeup at Bare Essentials for years, and I worked at Sephora a little bit, and I've been doing this, and I love it. So I have a lot of brushes, and I know what they're used for, but beginners don't. Not everyone knows what brush is the best to put a cream bronzer on versus a powder bronzer, or a cream brush versus a powder brush, or powder foundation versus a cream foundation, or a liquid foundation, or a serum foundation. There are so many different brushes out there that if you don't know what you're using, you may not be getting the best look that you can possibly get when doing your eyes or doing your face. So that's what this video is going to be about. I'm going to show you some of my favorite brushes, what I use them for, how you can use them, and how you can get the best out of your makeup. So if that sounds great, I hope that you'll watch the video all the way through. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and share this with a friend. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate that. You that have been watching me all along and staying with me, thank you so much. Your support means the world to me, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. So let's get started on our video. So I thought the best way to tell you how to use some of these brushes is just to show you them. So I'm going to show you what I brought up today with me. These are some of my brushes that I have in my bathroom on my counter. These are all my eye brushes. And then these are my face brushes. And then in my little storage, my makeup where I showed you where I keep all my stuff, I have an extra drawer that has extra brushes and sponges, and I actually have another drawer that has some extra sponges and things in it. So as you can see, I have a lot of different brushes, and they all do different things, and they all do things better, some better than others for different things. And I'm just going to show you, I'm not going to show you all of these obviously, but I'm just going to show you some examples of ones that I love, that I use on a regular basis, and what I think they're good for and how they can make your makeup look better. And we're going to start out with our eyes. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some eye primer on real quick on my eyes. And I'm just using the Milani eye primer because this is one of my favorites. I already have my brows done. Brows are not my favorite thing, and I'm not a perfectionist about my brows. I mean, I like them to look really nice, but they are what they are. I don't have the greatest brows, so they are what they are. I did put some faux tan on my face last night. I'm not sure if I'm liking it. Some sunless tanner, because it seemed to grab some of my age spots. So I think I'll just use bronzer from now on. I say it's not supposed to do that, but it did. Anyways, I'm rambling on. I'm just excited to be back and to share some stuff with you. So let's get started. You've got all these brushes here for your eyes. What are you going to use for what? And I'm going to show you. I just brought up my Sigma New Mod palette because I do love this palette. And the nice thing, Sigma always does put a double-ended brush in here that has, oh gosh, they've got like the clear, almost non-existent. It's got an E54 medium sweeper and a E39 diffused crease brush in each, and they put that in each of the palettes. Now I'm going to start out with this light color under my brow. So one of my favorite ones to use is the Sigma E50. This is big and it's flat, so it's good for just packing on like shadow. And something like this is good for a one and done. And it doesn't have to be necessarily this big. There are many companies. This is an It Cosmetic one, and you can see it's the same kind of thing. Sort of flat. BK Beauty from the Angie Hot and Flashy. She has one that's sort of like that too. It's just not as big as this one. But this is great if you're doing just a one and done and you want to pack on eyeshadow like all over, but not like your glitter ones. This is for a lighter diffused look. And that's what I'm going for, just putting a light diffused highlighter underneath. So that is the kind of brush that you would want to use for that. And I have several of them. I have some from BK Beauty, from It Cosmetics, from Sigma. I've got some ones that this one is a Mally Roncal brush, same kind of concept. You know, so I have some that I got here. This is another one from Sigma that's a little bit flat. Same kind of concept. You want something that's going to put down a softer layer of your eyeshadow in. That's a good thing to do. It's just going to put it down. You're not trying to pack like it on tight. You're just getting a nice diffused look, but a big flat area. Next brush I want to show you is like this one. This is your round crease brush. This is the Angie A503 brush, but I've got some favorite ones that I've got from Sigma. The same thing. They're nice, they're big, they're round. These are perfect for doing your crease. I've got this one that I got years ago. I don't even remember what it is, but they're nice and round and they're soft and fluffy. Here's a travel Sigma one. And you can see by these how soft they are. And they're just made to put down colors in your crease. They're made to give you all of these. They're nice and soft. They're perfect for putting in your crease colors. So I'm going to start with something like this right here. It's just a soft, neutrally beige color. And when you do this, when you use this brush, you're going to find your crease. And as I've always said, if you have hooded eyes, look straight ahead and where you want it to be able to see, that's where you're going to do it. And you're going to use the tip of this. Because the tip is so soft and movable, it's going to help diffuse the color and blend it out a lot better. So that's why you want to and you can go back and forth. You could make circles. But look how nice and diffused that takes the color out. I'm trying to do this fast because Now, when you have these brushes in your kit or your makeup kit or your collection, whatever you want to call it, I always like a big one. But when you want to get closer in, the same concept applies. And these are again from the Angie Hot and Flashy BK Beauty collection. These are the same thing. They're round, they're soft, but they're different sizes. And again, Sydney Grace, I have several of her brushes. She has several of them that are like this, and she has a smaller one in here. I have this white one that I got I don't remember where I got that. They're the same concept. I got this little gold one. I like to have multiples because then if they get dirty, I've got something that I can fall back on. But these are great brushes. Whoops. Here's the Sydney Grace one. It's smaller. So you can use different sizes depending on where you want to go. So I want to get a little bit closer. So I'm going to take a little bit smaller one, and that's when I'm going to grab this color. And this is where, because I want to get closer here and a little bit in my crease, I want something smaller. I don't want that big one to go in there because it's going to get product where I don't want it. But by getting this smaller one, I can put it there and then I can take it into my crease. And you can see it fits into my crease so nicely. So I'm taking that color in deeper there, but then it also is good for just like blending out and getting a little bit of color right here at the corner of my eyes. And because I use the smaller version, it's not getting it up. Now I can go even smaller, the same thing, which is what I love to do. And if I want to get a little bit of depth right down here in the corner, these are good for doing that as well because it's soft. And you can see, and then it blends. These are great for blending. That's what these are made for, is blending or putting soft color on your eye. So you can see how nice and soft that is, and I can just take this and blend it out, and then you can always go back with your bigger one and blend those colors in even more. And see how nice and blended they look? These are what you call your blending brushes or crease brushes. And I just love having them in my collection. These are my favorite brushes. I will tell you that I use these round blending brushes the most out of any brushes that I use when I'm putting my eyeshadow on. They just are like the perfect thing for that. Now, if you want to put a shimmer on, there's two ways you can do it. You can do it with a brush or with your hands. And I will tell you, one of my favorite makeup tools are these right here. Your fingers can do so much. And I love putting shimmers on just with my fingers. But you can also use a brush like this. This is from the Angie Hot and Flashy collection as well. You can see how thin this is, and it's denser and it's stiffer. This is great for putting like your shimmers and stuff on your eyes. And I'll show you how to do it. You can do your fingers, or as I said, you can do that. So I'm going to take, oh gosh, let's do this one. And I'm going to show you in one eye how this, putting it just flat, because it is so nice and stiff, you can just press it on just like you would with your finger. So if you don't want to use your finger, you can do it. Now, if I want to use my finger on the other eye, I'm doing the same kind of thing. I'm just pressing and patting. And I get the same kind of look. But instead of using your finger, if you don't, some people don't like using their fingers. This is perfect. And I have several of these. This is just a cheap brand I got, Jessup, off of Amazon. Same kind of concept. Stiff brush, flat brush for pressing on like your shimmers and stuff. Great brush. Great. This one also is good to take a brush like this when you're putting your eyeshadow primer on, dot it on, and use this to blend out. It works perfect for that. There are so many multiple uses of that, and I've got several of those too. I've got them in different sizes too. This is one that I got. I got this when I worked at Bare Minerals, Bare Essentials. It's called the tapered eyeshadow brush. It's great for, as I said, just putting it on flat. And they come in different sizes. I've got this one from Sigma. This is a E21. It's called a smudge brush. And it looks just like that. It's stiffer and it's thin, but this is great. And I'm going to show you in a minute for smudging. Like if you use an eyeliner, and then you can take this small brush, small flat brush to smudge your eyeshadow. I'm going to show you a couple of different ones that I have that are great for that. I got this one in a Tarte kit. Same thing. You can get an angled one. This is from that Jessup brush. Same kind of concept. One's a little thicker. This one's thinner, and it's on an angle. This is great for applying eyeshadow. My all-time favorite, and and I can't find this anymore. This was made with Bare Essentials when I worked there, and I have a couple of them. Perfect. Look how thin this is and the angle. This is perfect for adding eyeshadow to your eyes. This is another little one that I got from that Jessup, and it's small, but it's a little bit thicker. So this would give you a thicker smudgy line if you wanted to put eyeshadow underneath your eyes. And I can show you that. I'll take maybe this medium pink color. So if you get a kit with a bunch of brushes like I did off of Amazon, and this one you can see, it's thin, but it's got a little bit of thickness to it. So it gives you a thin enough line, but you don't want it super thin under your eyes. You want it thick enough so it's going to lay it down in a softer way, and that just puts it on there. Now, I'm going to put some eyeliner on. I did bring a couple of different eyeliners out, and I'm going to show you. There's a couple of different ways to use your little angled eyeshadow brushes that I was talking about. You can take your eyeliner if you want and put it on right on your eyelid. Oh, this is going to be a tough one. I'm just going to put a little out the side and then take your little angled brush. Gotta make sure I'm in. And you're just going to go right across the top of it and you're going to smudge it out. Let's see if I can grab my little mirror here. I might be able to show you a little bit better. And then I'm going to take my brush and then I'm going to take this and I'm going to, this is how I'm dragging, you know, so I'm like, I don't know if you're dragging, but spreading it out. So it's making it thinner and softer. So I got it thicker at the edge to give it a little bit more dramatic look. Then you're going to take your thin shadow brush and you're going to smudge it. These are perfect for smudging. And I'd like it to be a little bit thicker at the outer edge because it gives a little bit more drama. And by using this little brush, you can do that. So there's so many different ways that you can use these little brushes. I mean, they're perfect for so many different things. When you have makeup brushes, just because it says, okay, this is a blending brush, this is a this brush, this is that brush, find different ways to use them. You know, this one right here, I love this one too because I'm going to take the darkest color in this palette, right over here, and I'm going to press that in. So I've got it on my brush. And I'm going to go over this, and I'm just going to press over the top with this brush. So you can see I'm setting it. But if I didn't want to use the pencil underneath, I could just use this with this angled brush and press in eyeshadow as an eyeliner. I've always said that I love eyeshadow kits, eyeshadow palettes rather, that have a deep color in them because you can use it as an eyeliner. If you have the right brush and the right tools, it works perfect. So those are most of my eyeshadow brushes that I use. Okay, so that's our eyes. I am going to pause just for one moment and I'm going to put some mascara on. And I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Hi there. I swear I just closed the door. I think I just closed the door. He says, but I wanted to come up and say hi. Hi, babies. How are you? He's sticking right to me this morning ever since I've been back from vacation. He's back, like attached to me. Here I am. Oops. Here I am, Michigan. Back in Michigan, back home. So we did our eyes. My eyes are complete. So we're going to move on to our face. Okay. There are so many, and you're probably thinking, what in the world do I have all these different brushes for, and how would you use them on your face? Well, the obvious, you need concealer, you need foundation, you need powder, you need bronzer, you need blush. Some are cream, some are powder. That makes a difference what you're going to apply them with. Okay, so let's start out with foundation. There are several different kinds of foundation brushes you can use. One of my favorite is this. This is the one from, it's called Heavenly Skin. It's from It Cosmetics. I love this one. It's very soft. It's on an angle. It's, to me, great for applying foundation, liquid foundation. One that I just got when we went on vacation. It never fails. Whatever week we pick in July, that's the week Amazon Prime has their Prime days. So my mother-in-law stayed home and was watching her dogs, and there was a million packages being delivered, but this is one of the ones. I had been wanting to get the BK Beauty 101 brush for a long time, and I'm like, well, I have other brushes. Do I really need it? I got it. I have to tell you, I love this. These bristles are so soft. They're dense. It's not natural hair, which I love. It's synthetic, but this works at putting on foundation great. I also have, and I've showed you this, and this one needs to be washed, my one from Sigma that I love that's got different angles to it that can fit in. That definitely needs to be washed. Then I've got, and this is going to be a little bit different for you because I've got a couple of these, but different thicknesses. I got this one, and this one I got years ago, and I do put foundation on with this, thinner ones. I got this with my Josie Maron, her like serum foundation years ago, but she's not the only one that had that. It Cosmetics and also Eve Pearl have brushes like that. Eve Pearl has this brush right here. This is how you apply her foundation. You apply it on, and then at her other end is a brush for buffing it in or pouncing it in, which I love. This is one of my favorite ones because you can dot it on first and then blend it in, and I'm going to show you. And this one is great for serum foundations as well. There are other ones that you can use for foundations that are flatter. That are good for powder ones. I got this one from LYS. This is a foundation brush. It's a round one, but again, it's nice and soft. This one to me works perfect with powder foundations. I did not bring a powder foundation up, but pounces in, and this just, it's so soft, it just buffs powder foundation right in. When you're doing powder foundation, you want something that's dense but soft. Bare Minerals is one of my favorite powder foundations, and I still have it. In fact, they do still have the loose formula of it, and I buy that. I do buy that to have it, and I wear it more in the summertime. I've been wearing it on and off lately for the last couple of weeks, and I tell you, I love it, and it doesn't settle into my fine lines and wrinkles. I put a primer on, which I have a primer on today, and it just buffs right in. But getting a soft brush that's like this, it's not totally flat, but it's great for buffing in. It Cosmetics has another one. This one is their CC Skin Perfecting. So this one can be used for their CC cream, or they had the powder CC cream. Same concept. It's sort of flat, not totally flat, but it doesn't have a big dome on it, but very soft. So it's great for buffing in. This is great for buffing in. This one is great for stippling, and I'm going to show you that. So when you put on your foundation, there are two ways that you can do it. And the other item that you can use for foundation, other than the brushes that I just showed you, is a beauty sponge. And I brought several beauty sponges up with me. This is one for your face. This is the e.l.f. one for your concealers. And this is my Stands Out sponge. I love this. I lost mine. I don't know where. So I was so happy when Prime Days had this on sale because this is $20. It's not necessarily a cheap sponge, but I like this one. You wet it the first like 1 or 2 times, you use it wet, and then you can use it dry. But if you're putting foundation on, I'm going to show you 2 different ways that you can do it. You can put foundation on, and I'm just going to use my Neutrogena Healthy Skin foundation. And I'm going to put it on like this. And you can use a wet sponge. If you use a damp sponge to put foundation on, I'm going to show you. You are going to get a more sheer coverage. You can see my red mark that I have here on my face. You can see that through. It's not going to give you like full coverage. It's if you're someone who likes a lightweight coverage, whoops, that bounced right off. Light coverage, and you want just something that looks really natural that's just going to even out your skin tone. That's what you're going to get using a damp beauty blender. This is made for like if you, after you do your concealers, to take a little bit excess off. It's also great for foundation, and a lot of people do that. You can put it there. You can actually even put your foundation directly on your sponge, and then you're it's stippling. You're pressing it in. You're just pressing it in. But because the beauty blender is damp, it's going to help shear it out a little bit. And you can build it up, and you can see I'm building it up. So I can get the difference in here, or my sunless tanner. We're going to have to see if we can cover that. Or like this. So you can, but when you use your beauty blender or your sponge, this is just it's called RT. I just got this at Ulta. When you use it, you can use it damp or dry, but when you use it damp, you're going to get it really wet, so it really expands out, and then you're going to squeeze out all the excess water. This is not dripping wet. It's just slightly damp, like where it's almost dry, and that's the kind of coverage you get. This is totally dry. Well, it's mostly dry. I like to sometimes wet it, squeeze out, let it dry, and it's mostly dry, just slightly damp when I'm doing my concealer. The Stands Out sponge, this is perfect to use dry, and I will show you that. Now on the other side of my face, I'm going to take and I'm going to put my foundation on. But I am going to use my BK101. I'm going to use a foundation brush. And the same kind of thing, I'm putting it on, but I'm not dragging it. I'm stippling it on with a brush. Now, if you want to shear it out, that's where you can take and actually like blend and sweep. But if you want more coverage, that's when you're going to use your brush and press it in. Now the foundation I'm using isn't necessarily a full coverage foundation, but it can be built up as we saw with our beauty blender. So by using the stippling motion and using your soft bristles and just pouncing it in, you can see you can get nice coverage. And I like this brush because of the angle on it. Same thing with this one. You can get into nice crevices, so that's why these angled ones, I was so excited to get this BK Beauty brush, I tell you. And look at the nice coverage. So happy with that. So both sides, I got good coverage. I could build up with both of them. On this little spot. And your one tool that you can always use and you always have with you. That one little spot where that sunless tanner just grabbed. Just trying to get that out. Okay. Then once you put your foundation on, you can always go back with your little very slightly damp sponge and press everything in. So you make sure you don't have too much. Now, concealer. I brought up my Lancome Tinted Doll concealer, and I'm just going to put a little bit of concealer here, corners of my eyes. What do you use for concealer? Well, I'm going to have a favorite brush, and I'm sure you can probably guess what it is. It's the BK Beauty Angie A506 brush. This, to me, is a perfect concealer brush. It's soft, it's on an angle. Sephora came out with their version, but there are several companies that have come out with different ones like that. This one, to me, it works amazing because it can get right in here. The bristles are soft, so they're blendable. If they're really stiff, it makes it harder to blend. But because these are so soft, it just helps to press and stipple in exactly where you need it. But if you want to, like I like to sort of go like this and drag and get that straight line there and then press it in. And just look how nicely it just presses it right in. I will tell you, while I was on vacation, my skin suffered. My husband kept telling me that I should be able to get everything in a carry-on. And I said, yeah, that's just not going to happen. I can't do that. And I knew I couldn't do it. I said, just with my makeup and everything. But I did pare down a lot of my skincare. I didn't take my Nero with me, which has been making a huge difference. I want to show you before and afters. I'm going to do a little short video on that, on the amazing results. I cannot tell you. Now, I've been out in the sun for a week and everything. So, let's see, got a little bit of... But under my eyes, my huge crease that I had from sleeping, it's totally gone. It's totally gone. I would highly recommend it. The Nero lasers, the Nero Precision and the Pro, it's making a big difference. I can see it in my skin, and just without going without a week. And I didn't bring all of my essences and toners. I bought very minimal stuff with me. I brought like sunscreen. I brought like moisturizer. I did bring like a little travel size. I got a retinol and a couple things, so I could still put retinol and everything on at night. But I didn't bring all my essences to hydrate my skin. And I could tell when I got back, my skin was just like sucking up every bit of hydration and moisture that it could. So if you are interested, I can go and do like an updated skincare routine. I think I sort of did when I was showing you some of my favorite ones that I was using, and it will change as fall and winter comes. It changes a lot. Right now, I'm not using oil on my skin. I did like a day or two when I first came back just because it was so dry, but normally I'm just using like my CeraVe or different moisturizers on my face after all my serums and everything. But in the wintertime, I add oil. I am still doing my castor oil. I don't do it every night. I do love that. So I am putting it around my eyes. And here I am still using that. Would highly recommend castor oil for anybody. It's doing amazing things for my skin as well. Little sidetrack note there. I have a whole video on castor oil. I can link that up here for you on what the benefits are and how it has helped me just amazingly. Okay, we've got our concealer and that on. I'm going to take my little damp sponge. Always, your sponges are so great for pressing everything in. My little trick. Looks funny, but your skin is like sort of crinkled here. If you do that, it pulls everything down so you can make sure that you're pressing out any foundation or concealer that is settling into your fine lines and wrinkles. So, love doing that. Now, powder. Some people use powder, some people don't. I'm not a huge powder person, but I do like to set my under eyes. This is the powder from Dow 10. This is Dow Skin Pink Power Brightening Treatment Powder. And I got this, Shirley's Box of Chocolates recommended. She did a collab with Dow 10 and she had her own kit. So I thought I would try this. And I will tell you, I love this. And it's got good skincare ingredients in it. And I like that it's brightening. This is the kind of brush that I use. This is a Morphe brush. I love this little brush. I've already got powder in it. It brushes off. It's very loose. It's a little bit bigger, than an eyeshadow brush. You could always use an eyeshadow brush. But it's a little bit bigger, but it's soft and it's not dense. So it's great for putting down a small amount of powder. You do not want a lot of powder on your face and around. And then press it in. Any brush like this. I've got a couple of them. I've got this other one from Morphe. Same kind of thing. Big, fluffy, great for putting powder underneath your eyes. This one is a little bit bigger, but this one is great for, you could use this. This one's great also for highlighters. But before we go into highlighters and stuff like that, what are you going to do if you want to put powder all over your face? I normally don't. But if you are, this is the Sigma powder and bronzer brush. I love this brush. I've got another big one from like that Jessup company. One of my favorite ones is my It Cosmetics one. Love this. Big head, very soft, not dense whatsoever. None of these are. That's the kind of brush you want to put powder all over your face. This is also, as it says, great for bronzers. If you're going to do like a bronzer all over, you want something that's very loose. Now, I did bring up my Huda Beauty powder with me, and I'm going to show you Like I said, I don't normally put a lot of powder on my face, but I'm going to show you. I'm going to take my IT Cosmetics one, and I'm going to get a little bit of powder on this brush. I'm going to tap it off, and I'm just going to go like on my nose and here, where sometimes it gets a little shiny, and a little bit on my forehead. Always tap off your brush. But you can see, because this is so loose, it's not putting down a lot. And you always want to, when you get your product on there, tap off so you don't have a lot on your brush in the first place. We're not baking. If you have older, mature skin, dry skin with fine lines and wrinkles, you do not want to bake. And you can see how nice this looks. It just put it on so lightly, and it's not going to take the powder or the foundation off of your skin. If you had something that was real stiff and dense, it could very well do that. You want something light and soft that's not going to affect any of the product that you put down. Okay, moving on quickly to bronzers. We have two different kinds of bronzers. We have powder and we have cream. This is my NARS. One of my favorite brushes for putting down cream bronzers is the BK Beauty 109. And you can see it looks just like the foundation brush, except for it's smaller. The reason I love this is because you can get right on your cheek. It fits right in there. And if you want to do like a little bit of contouring with it, but again, you want something that is not super stiff, because you don't want it to put down too much product. And I'm pressing in with this. This to me is a perfect cream bronzer brush. Look for something that's on an angle, that's very soft. It just moves great with the products. If you're going to do powdered bronzers, this is another product that was in that Doll 10 group. This is called Afterglow. And this little kit has got a powder bronzer, powder blush, and it's got a highlighter, and then it's got like a little powder on it. So for my powder bronzers, that's where you'd want to use something like this big brush, or this one from Morphe, which is nice and big and fluffy. Anything that's, this one I've got from Sydney Grace. I love this one. Same thing. It's pointed. So when you take your bronzer, you swirl it in your product, always tap off. If I wanted to go over the top of this, it's nice and soft, and it's going to give me a soft, just diffused look. And you can see it's not putting on a ton of product because it is so light. And you want to make sure that when you're picking up your product, you just pick up a little bit and then you just blend it in. Perfect. Big, fluffy, loose. I could have used this one that's even more if I wanted to just get a nice, big, fluffy brush. That's what you want. You don't want anything that is super stiff. You could use something like this. This is another one from Morphe. It's a little bit stiffer. This to me would be good for a powder contour because it's stiffer and you could just stipple it right in your contouring area. And I know this is a lot. I'm sorry, that's a lot. Blush. So I'm trying to speed it up. This is a cream blush. There are different brushes out there for creams and versus powders. And I have showed you before, I just gotta find it, my favorite brush that I have from IT Cosmetics. This is a blush brush and it's on an angle and I love that. Another good thing, all of your blush brushes. This is my one from BK Beauty. This is my one from Jessup. I've got this one from Sigma. All of my blush brushes are mostly on an angle. Now you can use something different. You can use something like this from BK Beauty. This is the Nikki LaRose brush, and I do love this brush. This brush, to me, is such a multi-purpose. This side of the brush is used for cream products, and this one for powder. This could be your all-in-one if you're going to put cream blush on and then powder on top of it. I could use that, which I do have a cream and a powder, so I could use both of those today. This one, it's not natural. None of these are natural bristles, which I love. For cream products, you don't want to get something that's got natural bristles on it because it's like hair. It's going to absorb liquid. Your hair absorbs water. Natural brushes are. You want to get a synthetic one. I love this one. It's nice and loose. It's made specifically for liquid products. These brushes here, these blush brushes, you could use either. I prefer them for powder blush, but you can use them on either or. But I'm going to show you using the Nikki LaRose brush. And I'm going to take, this is another Doll 10. This was in that kit. And I'm going to show you how this works. And it's nice and soft. This brush is not dense. Again, you don't want something that's super dense because it's going to lay down too much. And I'm just sort of stippling this color in very lightly and then pressing and moving back and forth. And I'm getting a nice light coverage. And that's what you want, a natural look. Now, I can take the blush color in here, the powder one, turn this brush over. Same thing. And then I'm just going to set my cream with this powder blush to help it stay on all day. Great brush, but again, they are nice and soft. They're not dense. When you're applying your face products, your blushes, your bronzers, and highlighters, you don't want stiff brushes because they're going to pack it on, and you do not want that. For highlighter, this is something that you want to use sparingly. So this is where this little brush that I was talking to you about is excellent for that. Fan brushes are perfect for putting highlighter on. You want something like this. This is a Sigma. I'm sorry, this is just a True Beauty. But this one, see how nice and light this is? You could just take and this one's also good for contouring. So if you get brushes that you don't know what they're for, now I'm going to put a little bit of this highlighter on. I'm always going to tap off. And I'm just going to, because this is so light and fluffy, it's just going to put the smallest amount of highlighter on. And that's what you want. If you use something that is super stiff and you put it on, you're going to end up with something like that. Instead of just a nice soft gleam, you put a stiff brush, you're going to end up with something like this. And you don't want your highlighter to look like it's just beaming, glowy thing. That's just, that's not what you're going for. You're not going for something like that. So that was a lot. That was a lot of information. And I'm sorry that I tried not to make it too long, but I have a feeling it is. But there's so many different brushes. And you don't always have to get the best of the best. I love and would highly recommend BK Beauty brushes, Sigma brushes, Sydney Grace brushes. Those are my 3 favorite high-end brushes. But I've gotten some good brush, in It Cosmetics, of course. There are some drugstore. NYX has some good brushes. Try to get yourself down to just, if you don't want to buy a million brushes, try to find ones that are multitasking. Like this. This does so many different things, for blending your eyeshadow in. Get a couple different sizes of that and get like a flatter one like this, where you can just do a one and done eyeshadow. You don't necessarily have to have the super flat one. You can use your fingers. Get brushes that are multitasking, that can do your concealer, that can do your bronzer, your blush. Get one for creams, one for powders and stuff. There are there are so many different brushes out there and so many different companies that make good brushes. Start out small, get your basics, and then work up. That's what I did. I got basics, and then I got extra ones that are for specialty things and for fine-tuning my makeup look. You don't have to do that. Get a good, if you know you only wear liquid foundations, find your perfect foundation brush. Find your perfect brush that will do bronzer and blush. Find one that's going to put your concealer on, and then a small brush like this for your powdering under your eyes or something. You can get away with probably like 10 brushes at a good kit. And I would do something like this. This is a cosmetics brush. It's got your blender on one end and your flat one for putting like an all-over color on this end. So you could do something like that. I would get an angled liner brush for helping with your eyeliner. Something like that. For face, as we just talked about, just get your basics. Get your ones to go, and you're not going to have a problem. Using the right products to apply your makeup makes a big difference. You can always use your hands. In a pinch, you can always use your hands. And I have done that where I've been rushed and I'm like, okay, I don't mind, use my fingers. Because years ago, that's what they did. They didn't have all these nice brushes. They didn't know about using sponges to apply and to press in and after you're all done. They didn't know that. Things have been learned throughout the years on how to perfect makeup. So, you know what? Start out small. Get your things that are necessity brushes and necessity tools and work your way up. I definitely would have a sponge. I would have a good beauty sponge. This one's a little bit more expensive. They have, but I love it because I can use it dry. So if I'm traveling or whatever, and someplace I don't have water, but get yourself some brushes, whether you spend a lot on them or a little. Just look when you're buying them to make sure, make sure that they feel them and see that they're the right texture. If you go in and like in Ulta, they have different brushes and everything too out there, and they have little samples. So you can feel them and make sure that they're what you want. And I will tell you, you can have a preference of synthetic or natural. I've always wanted to try rougher brushes, and I know they do have some synthetic ones now. They do have natural ones, natural hair brushes as well. And I've talked about that. I had natural hair brushes. Bare Essentials had those, Bare Minerals had those for years. They did a lot of those. And when we sold our starter kit, we got a lot of them back because people were allergic to the hair. So that's something to keep in mind. If you are getting natural hair brushes, if you're allergic to different kinds of hair or animal hair, it could be an issue for you. That's why I like synthetic. They don't grab the product as much. So I do like synthetic better because of that too, because natural hair brushes are going to grab your product. And I don't like to waste product. If you're using a natural hair brush, Bare Minerals was all powder, so that's why they could use the natural hair brushes. But if you're using a natural hair brush with liquid foundations and liquid products, it's going to absorb in, and you're going to notice your brush is getting dirty really fast, and it's collecting it because it's absorbing a lot of the product. Just my opinion. I know a lot of people love having natural brushes as well. But I hope you learned a lot with me and my plethora of brushes. And like I said, I wasn't going to show you all these brushes. I have a lot of brushes and a lot of different shapes and sizes of sponges and everything. And they all do different things, and it's fun to play with them. This is like my artistry kit, like I'm a painter or something. This is my artistry kit. And I love learning new ways to use all of these brushes, and I love just having fun. So makeup should be fun. I mean, people do it to look better and make themselves feel better. But to me, it's very relaxing and cathartic, and I have fun doing it, and I like looking better than I do without makeup. So thank you so much for joining me today. Go out, have yourself a wonderful, blessed day. And if you haven't already, remember to hit the subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and give it a big thumbs up. Thank you so much.